This week on Cartoon Dumpster Dive, we cover the cartoon Whatever Happened to Robot Jones. Joel,
Yes, Andrew.
happy Labor Day. That's when we're recording this.
Yes. Happy Labor Day. It's been a fun weekend, man.
I agree. I've had a good weekend. I hope the listener had a good weekend.
You know,
Listeners, hopefully.
more, just
More
have
than
one
one,
single.
not just a person.
Yeah, I'm all spirits high for me. Football has started back. We've kind of talked a little bit about this already. Dude, this is my
Patreon exclusive extended audio episodes. They had nothing to the real episode. I made that a point. So there's a few podcasts out there. I don't want to call them out or anything.
Yeah.
But they have they have your regular scheduled programming.
Yep.
Which they have topics too, which they never get to. And then they have a paid for section. And that bothers the shit out of me because then you have to pay for what you were trying to listen to in the first place.
Yeah.
So I'm doing the opposite. You can basically pay us to listen to everyday conversation.
It's
if
more
you're
just
very interested in what we talk about before we record, that's the extended audio.
yeah. Maybe
You can
get
get a couple of video game suggestions or movie suggestions.
Yeah.
But most of the time you're here for the cartoon, right? So you want to hear about the cartoon,
Yeah.
which should segue us in pretty hard into this week. We are covering Whatever Happened to Robot Jones.
What a cartoon, man. Literally.
I
what
don't
a
know how I
cartoon.
feel about it. I really don't. There's a lot of choices that they made that I don't think it works for the target demographic that they were going for. And I'll talk about that more later.
Yeah.
But let's review that theme song.
Let's hit it.
Whatever happened to
Robot Jones.
Whatever happened to
Robot Jones.
Oh, thank God that was it's
30 seconds.
God,
Bam.
that's been so rare these past few episodes.
It's so nice.
I almost want to give it a 9, 8 or a
Just-
9 just for that alone.
Honestly, I will give it I'll give it a 7. It's
Yeah.
not that catchy. It's not going to
Yeah.
hook you, but just from the point of view that hey, it's quick, it's easy, it's just it gets its point across. That's it.
Yeah,
No.
I agree.
Ugh.
I give it about a 7.
Yeah.
So, Joel, how did this show get made?
Yeah, so I always love it when we get to talk about some Cartoon Network shows, cartoons, because it's always, I guess it's going to be the same. It's
Currently not on Max,
No.
by the way, despite if you Google it and it tells you it's on there.
I doubt you'll see it on there, but like a lot of the previous Cartoon Network shows that we covered, this one kind of started out with one of those, hey, what a cartoon, where they would pilot a bunch of stuff, and depending on the ratings and everything else, that show would then get a full-fledged series.
I miss that era of TV where you kind of had a semi-choice
Yeah.
on your programming, especially with like cartoons. You could also say that like Fox would do stuff like that because every fall there would be new show season, and some of it was good, and some of it was bad, and depending on who was watching it, that's what
Yep.
got to stay. But now it's still like Netflix will make anything, and then you get like one season, and you're like, I really like this, and Netflix like, cool, it's canceled, and you're like, fuck.
Exactly. I kind
It
of
makes
wish.
you not. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was going to say, go back to like a single pilot episode, because that does suck when you get really involved in a series and then you find out that because it wasn't as popular as they was hoping, bam, it got canceled. It's annoying.
It makes you not want to watch anything because you're
No.
just like, well, it's just gonna get canceled.
Exactly. It's gotten to the point where we almost won't watch stuff unless it's got multiple seasons because we know, okay,
Yep.
maybe it's got a closure, maybe there's something there.
And then people won't watch it, or then it gets canceled because people won't watch it. So it's like a double-edged sword. You want more seasons, but also you're not gonna watch it until it gets there. So
Yeah. So
yeah.
so this was a part of Cartoon Network's back in the 2000. Okay, Cartoon Network started running a promotion called The Big Pick. Well, what they would do is in the summer of 2000, they started airing every week a pilot episode for a different show. And during those weeks, you would watch it. And then at the end of the summer, they had what they called Voice Your Choice Weekend. And they basically allowed the audience to pick out of the 11 pilots which one were their favorites. And
Right.
that one would get a cartoon. Now, before we really get into the who created this, I wanted to talk about the Big Pick and Voice Your Choice Weekend on some of the other cartoons that was in this lineup.
Okay, let's hear them.
It ultimately came down to 3 cartoons, but the 11 cartoons you had The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy,
Yep.
Whatever Happened to Robot Jones, Trevor in the Journey to Sector 5G, Nikki, Faux Paws, Uncle Gus for the Love of Monkeys, Lucky Lindia in Club Lindia, Long Hair and Double Dome, Goodwill Hunting, Lost Cat, and Prickles the Cactus.
Prickles the Cactus.
Now, so a lot of these shows, I think there was only 2 of them I knew. And
Yeah.
it was so the top 3 choices that, towards the end of the summer was between Billy and Mandy, Robot Jones, and this Long Hair and Double Dome, Goodwill Hunting.
Okay.
Now, I think we all probably can guess Billy and Mandy won.
They have a solid pilot. I would encourage anyone to go back and watch that solid pilot. And Maxwell Adams confirmed a fan theory about it, the pilot, pretty recently in an interview. So you know how Mandy isn't like in the series. Mandy's like kind of a hardcore evil like little girl. She's like the opposite of like a normal little girl. And this one guy asked him, in the pilot, Mandy scrapes her finger on the evil vortex and puts it in her mouth, and she's like, definitely tastes like evil energy to me. And he asked Maxwell, he was like, is that what made her so evil in the series? And he was just like, I didn't think about it that way, but yeah, sure.
He's like, you know what? Sounds good enough to me.
He's like, that's a solid theory, man. Yes. So it's like, I love it when creators will just hear a fan theory and it never crossed their mind to think of that. And they'll go, that's a good idea. Yeah, that's totally what happened. I didn't think of that, but yes, that's canon right there, buddy.
That's it. Sounds good enough. So Robot Jones actually came in second. Now, it was, I guess they got enough traction to the point where Cartoon Network was greenlit a series for them. Which makes sense. I mean, if you've got people interested in it, why not give them to them? You could possibly make some money out of it. So this series was actually created by a gentleman named Greg Miller. Now, Greg Miller, up to this point, he had worked on other shows like Dexter's Lab. He actually helped with some of the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. He actually was a writer, storyboard artist on there. But Robot Jones, this was his creation. This was his project. And if you kind of look up into it, he was very inspired by Schoolhouse Rock, that old school animation. And you can tell.
You can tell. Yeah, it's not a mystery. Like some of the stuff we've covered, where you're like, oh, that's where they got the inspiration. You know immediately where this is inspired by Schoolhouse Rock.
Exactly. I couldn't find maybe like inspiration around his characters. I did find something, and we'll talk a little bit more about the plot and stuff like that, but in an interview, he did talk about how the original concept to this show, he planned it to be Robot Jones growing up in the style of the Wonder Years, with the ultimate goal to end up more like the Terminator.
Yeah.
Well,
he said in an interview that the show ends in the 90s with him rallying a robot army to take over Earth.
I guess looking back at it, that sounds awesome to me. So
it does sound awesome.
You're gonna have a show about a robot growing up, going through high school and stuff like that to figure out humans better, to ultimately lead the robot apocalypse.
He went through 4 years of high school and said, these motherfuckers gotta go.
It's that whole Ultron mentality, well, the only way to save humanity is by killing it.
I love the meme of the MCU Ultron. It's like Thanos wanted to kill half the universe. Ultron spent 1 second on the internet and realized humanity had to go.
Nothing was redeemable about that.
He saw one Rule 34 of Steve Rogers and Tony Stark. He's like, nope.
This war has to end. Ran for 2 seasons. Total of just 13 episodes, but it had 27 segments throughout those 13 episodes.
Right.
Really, the pilot, like I said, aired in 2000. The show didn't have its first launch or first episode release 2 years later in 2002. But yeah, just one of these, hey, what's going to be the best pilot shows? It came in second place, but there was enough love for it to where Cartoon Network greenlit it for a series. So, hey.
Then executive producers just killed the show,
dude,
unfortunately.
Some of the choices that they started making with the show makes no sense to me, but we'll get into that a little bit later on. But, Andrew, I already know there's one unique voice actor.
Yeah, there is.
So go ahead and let the audience know.
So the voice cast of Whatever Happened to Robot Jones are Gray Griffith is Shannon, Mom Unit, Mrs. Raincoat, Connie, Driver, French Teacher, Punk Girl, TV Mom, Ugly Girl. It's one of them where the people are voicing
Everything.
everybody. Gary Leroy Gray is Mitch, Big Kid 1, Bully number 1, Cubando member,
Okay.
DJ, Delivery Guy, Dog Boy, Gregor, Jock, Rapper. Miles Jeffrey is QB, Angry Kid 1, Bully 2, Jamie, Kid, Nerd, Shorty. Kyle Sullivan is Socks, Boy, Cabin Boy. Dan, Kid number 2, Kid Announcer, Mayo Chugger, Superstar Kid, TV Son, Tommy, Whispery Boy. Jeff Bennett is Principal Madman, Announcer, Bus Driver, Coach, FDR, Film Narrator, Mr. Hugman, Neighbor Man, Nixon, Principal Singer, TV Announcer, TV Dad, TV Host.
Okay.
Bobby Block is Robot Jones, but originally it was the Macintalk Jr. was Robot Jones, and then for the pilot episode and for season 1, it was a text-to-speech program. Later, the executives didn't like the robot voice, so they got Bobby Block to do season 2 and then redubbed all of season 1. So not only is it hard to find Robot Jones at all, it's even harder to find the unedited season 1.
Yep. Because yeah, and that's we'll get into that.
So for their other works, Gray Griffin is Selena Kyle in Batman Arkham City. Gary Leroy Gray is Domino in Slappy and the Stinkers.
Okay.
Miles Jeffrey is Taylor Hanson in Mom's Got a Date with a Vampire. Kyle
Okay.
Sullivan is a regular performer in All That, the kids version of Saturday Night Live.
I'm sorry,
basically.
it's all that.
Yeah. So Jeff Bennett is Choosgoose and also Evil Choosgoose in Adventure Time and the Adventure Time Fiona and Cake series
Very
that
nice.
just came out this year. If you're a fan of Adventure Time, I highly recommend it. It's super, super fun.
Yep.
And then Bobby Block is Baby Bear in Shrek. And then finally, Macintalk Jr. His only other credit is the pilot of Robot Jones. But I find it hilarious that this text-to-speech has a credit on IMDb.
It's funny.
So, yeah. I like this show. I can understand. There's a few reasons I think it didn't really catch on.
Yep.
One, it was set in the 80s.
Yep.
And anybody who was watching Cartoon Network at the time was not even, they weren't born in the 80s. At the best, they were born in 89.
Yep.
So you're having all these references to things they should have said it in the 90s. If they were going to do anything, they should have said it in the 90s so your target demographic, children, could relate to it. I do think it's funny that the two bullies of Robot Jones, who, if in the original, I guess would have caused the robot apocalypse,
Yep.
they look like Dio. But even then, I didn't know that till way later, because I didn't know what Dio was.
Like the musician Dio? Like,
Or wait,
you mean like, Holy Diver?
no,
You've been down too long in the midnight
the
sea.
You Can Whip It guys.
Oh, Devo.
Devo, that's right.
Yep. You can whip it.
One letter, a few letters off.
Whip it good.
Whip it good. We're gonna get a copyright strike now. It's
Yep.
been a long time coming, really.
We've been playing
But
fast
yeah,
and loose.
there was just a lot that, like, if they had said it in a different time period, I think it would have done better because it didn't really get great numbers. And,
No.
but
Now,
I mean, I enjoyed the stories that they had. One of my favorites was the Rubik's Cube. Like, so the Rubik's Cube competition is one of my favorite episodes.
Yeah.
And I remember it clear as day, but I watched it again just to be sure. But so everybody's getting a Rubik's Cube, and like the two Devo guys, they're so far the fastest to solve it. But because Robot Jones is a robot, he gets it in like 0.5 seconds.
Yeah.
No problem. And they're like, they go to this they let him compete in a competition that other, like, there's no way any of these other kids are
I
going to
know,
win.
right?
And so the two Devo boys are just like, well, why don't we just switch two stickers on it? And that way he'll never be able to solve it, and he can't figure out why. And like, he solves it like a bunch of times and he can't, and then he loses. But it's just, but then again, that's the problem with the show. There's a bunch of 80s references that children don't get.
No.
And like, I don't think your dad's really going to sit there and go like, I remember the Rubik's Cube. Let's go to the attic, son.
Let's
Have
go.
a beer.
Let's go to the attic. Pull out my Rubik's Cube that I left in my one position from 10 years ago. Yeah, no, it's... I
Dad,
agree.
did you turn this into a pipe? Nope, wrong one. Give me that.
Oh, no. Not that one.
Not that one. Sorry.
I agree with you. I think we want too far removed from the 80s enough for the 80s to be cool again, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I was thinking it's trying to pull a Stranger Things a little too early.
Exactly. Yep.
Which even if you like Stranger Things, which I do, but you have to admit a lot of it is remember this shit?
Remember the 80s?
And it's like also like a deep remember malls and fucking
arcades and
Pac-Man, right?
Yeah.
But there's a demon. It's like there is a demon. Wow.
It does really feel like he kept that Wonder Years mentality, just about, a kind of a coming of age story, but from a robot perspective.
Yeah. There are a lot of cool episodes because he's a robot. Like one is like he doesn't know which bathroom to use. Because he's like, which I thought was like, if this was made today, there'd be some insane person talking about how woke it is. But it was like, he was like, well, I'm not really a boy and I'm not really a girl. And so the school's like, well, we'll just make you a third bathroom. And it's just like, oh, well, I was like, if that happened today, they'd be like, these goddamn liberals trying to make the non-binary.
My thing
I'm
is
obsessed with dick and balls and pussy. You're like, whoa.
what? Why did a robot need to go use the bathroom to begin
That
with?
was my second point of why he has to go to the bathroom. Maybe because he was programmed to go to a school. They wanted him to also have a bathroom break.
My understanding, I remember I actually watched this when it was airing because I actually enjoyed it. And, going in my fallback memory, I want to say kind of the purpose of him going to school was to just learn more about humans and to learn more about, what it means to be human in a sense.
Yeah.
So I guess, hey, humans have to use a bathroom.
Yeah.
So
Humans
what's the
gotta
deal?
use the bathroom.
What's the deal with this?
Yeah. I love his parents.
Yes.
By the way, mom unit and dad unit, I don't know why they crack me up. It reminds me a lot of Invader Zim's robot parents.
Yes.
Like it's like the same vein because they even have a similar episode where they have to go to, like Invader Zim and Whatever Happened to Robot Jones, they have the exact same
Plot.
Parents' Day episode. The only difference is Invader Zim makes his robot parents watch like a bunch of like human television.
Yes.
And then Robot Jones is trying to make his parents embarrass him because he knows that this event, your parents have to embarrass you. And he has to make sure that he gets embarrassed. But he's having a hard time because his parents are like, everybody loves their robot parents because of how cool they are.
Yeah.
Where in which Invader Zim succeeds because his dad says he has diarrhea everywhere or something like that. I remember those two episodes very well because I'm just like, they're the same thing, but like there's just one tiny difference that makes them two completely different episodes.
You know, that's a good comparison between this show and Invader Zim because I see it, they're basically trying to tell the same story. Someone who is not a human go into a school to become more human in a sense.
Yeah.
And I think Invader Zim, it would have to just be the setting because they didn't do it in the 80s. They just did it in like what would be modern day. And of course, the humor in Invader Zim is a lot different.
Invader Zim's also weird though, because it's got like maybe 3 seasons from 35 years ago, but it was in popularity forever. You would go to Hot Topic and you would see a Gurr merchandise. And this show had been off the air for like 15 years.
Look, Invader Zim, I feel like this episode is slowly becoming Invader Zim.
We'll change gears in a minute.
Dude, Invader Zim, it was iconic. I remember, so this is a funny story. My mom, just a few months ago, she was like, hey, I got you a gift. I saw it, thought of you, and you know, you'll have it coming. She bought me an Invader Zim t-shirt. I am a grown-ass adult, and she bought me this. And I was just like, I was so confused. I was like, man, why is she buying me an Invader Zim t-shirt? And like, she reminded me, I completely forgot about this. I actually, when I became a little bit older, I actually like, you know, illegally downloaded Invader Zim, put it onto a DVD, and I made them watch it. And they loved Invader Zim. And I was like, I completely forgot about that. I completely forgot they watched it and loved Invader Zim, but I think it's just, that's a testament to the humor and the story that Invader Zim was producing at that time.
You know, I forgot to mention on this show, my dad completely calls me out. When we covered Pirates of the Dark Water, my dad messaged me the day the episode came out and said, he was like, you know, when you were younger, you actually liked that show. I remember watching it with you. I'm like, damn.
Hey, we forget a lot, man.
I remembered 0% of watching Pirates of the Dark Water, which go check out that episode. Apparently, I don't like it now. But have you ever had that where somebody will mention you said something on this podcast and you're just like, you know, there's like 100 and something episodes of these. I'm not going to remember everything I said.
No. Oh, yeah. Yeah, all the time, man.
But yeah, so later on, this series is already like not doing great.
No.
Numbers wise, it's moving time slots. The producers and the executives are getting their hands on it, and they're not doing this show any favors.
No, they really want it. I feel like they really wanted to kill it.
Yeah, I do too.
Me personally, I think the fact that they went to a voice actor, it kind of killed the character of Robot Jones himself.
Exactly.
And I remember even watching that, being in that period where you started watching that second season and being like, whoa, hold on. Why is his voice completely different? That was like one of the the beauties of the show was it was a very robot voice.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
It just, why they thought that was a smart idea, I'll never understand.
And thus, I think Greg Miller got so upset he left the show, and then he just kind of like let it get canceled. Like
Yeah.
he was too, I would imagine, I don't want to think for this man too much, but I could imagine the executive involvement and people, the uncreatives, the money men of the industry. It's got to be a little annoying
Yeah.
when somebody who isn't creative comes to you and tells you how to be creative because they funded your show, and then they completely ruin it, but you can't do anything about it because you're like, well, they got the money and they'll pull the money. So eventually he was like, you know what? Done.
You almost-
I'm leaving.
You just
You
have
almost
to,
have to.
You gotta walk away from it. You're just like, you know what,
Yeah.
you take it over, and that's gonna be a hard thing for a creator. That, hey, I created this. This is like my, in a sense, my baby, and I just gotta turn it over to you guys. Like, that's gotta suck.
Yeah, very true.
Now,
And then he went on to do things like, he did My Life as a Teenage Robot, and then he did like a director. But as far as I can tell, Greg Miller didn't really create anything else.
no, this was the one and only thing that I could find where he actually created it. And maybe the experience of going through this made him never want to do it again.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, we
For
can only
sure.
speculate at this point.
He's not dead.
No.
So we could get him on here.
We could ask him if we really wanted
We could. Do you want to interview from Greg Miller? We'll make it happen.
to. Let us know.
But Joel, I feel like it's time to move on to your new reoccurring segment. Reviews with high efficiency and reviews that have a 404 error not found.
Oh, very nice.
I think I fucked up what 404 means. Either way, I'm staying with it.
So, Andrew, couldn't find anything rating this show as a 1. It's definitely one of those things. Most of the comments come from like 2002, so when the show was
okay.
like first airing. But I wanted to read a 10 out of 10. Titled Great Show. So it's done by Lejeune Donnie. I don't know, but I have to mention that because of the first comment or the first sentence. So it goes, as you can see by my username, I am in love with this show. It is funny, imaginative, and interesting. I'm most like the 80s feel, which is what it takes place in. Also, some of the character development is crisp as bacon. To be honest, I have never really liked shows about school, except maybe Doug and a few others, but it's just kind of boring to me. But this one takes it. I actually don't really know why I love this show so much besides the 3 reasons I first said. I also really like Robot Jones's computer-generated voice, and I actually didn't mind the Bobby Block human voice, as other people easily get irritated with it. Overall, it's a nice and fun show, and I am practically addicted to this. And if they reboot this show, at least make it good. Because they have been some other cartoon reboots, and yeah, they were all terrible. Anyways, overall, I love this show, and yeah. Plot A, jokes A-, character development A+, storylines B+, overall A-.
Oh,
So
Must be a teacher.
I feel like, yeah, a teacher who went to school in the 80s and is just,
Yeah.
strumming that heartstring.
I really do feel like a reboot of this show. I don't think it would happen. 1. 2, I don't think it would be good.
No.
I feel like they would try to update the animation style, and that would not
Yeah.
go well because I don't think Greg Miller would come back. Maybe, but I'm not sure.
Honestly, I think if Warner now, if they was to just take these episodes, put them up on Max, I think a lot of people would enjoy this now. Because
Yeah.
like you said, there is that resurgence of the 80s time period, which
Big time.
Stranger Things really kicked that off. And, I think there is that huge market of people that just kind of like that aesthetic, that 80s time period.
Yeah.
To the point where you wouldn't even need to recreate it. Just put it up there, let it, generate some interest. And then at that point, if you feel like, hey, maybe it deserves a reboot it. I think you would absolutely ruin it if you rebooted it nowadays. But that's just my opinion.
I feel like it's one of those shows that was like, it was definitely it was of its time.
Yep.
And like trying to recreate something like that, it never really works out.
No.
So, do you have any closing thoughts on whatever happened to Robot Jones?
It's honestly, I would say give it a shot. Like if
you can find it.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Unfortunately, Discovery Plus and Warner are more about taking things off of their streaming platform than putting them on there.
Yeah,
at the moment.
It would be a tough show to find, but if you're just wanting a good cartoon that, to me, has a pretty interesting story, it's got some pretty good, interesting little segments and episodes, man, give it a shot if you can find it.
Yeah, if you can find it,
Yep.
for sure.
What about
Maybe
you?
can find a physical copy somewhere. I liked it. The criticisms I have about it are not real criticisms, I guess. It's just like, I can see why this didn't do successful in 2002.
Yep.
Like that's the only thing I have about it. It's a good show that just came out at maybe the wrong time.
Yeah.
And that's about all I have to say. It's really cute. I like the Schoolhouse Rock aesthetic. I mean, there was a reason this thing was second place. I mean, it lost to The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, but like that show was like a powerhouse show.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, I do remember Long Hair and Double Dome. So
You
we'll have
do?
to. Yes, I do. It was about cavemen.
Oh,
We'll have
okay.
to do some research on that one too.
yeah.
Hey, maybe next week.
Hey,
'cause
maybe.
I haven't thought of anything. But yeah, it was fun, and I think it should go back on Max because Google says it's there and it's not.
Maybe it's like one of those things where if you're in a different country, it's in Max.
Maybe. Ooh, maybe we can get a VPN. Sponsor
Maybe.
us, Nord. Come on. But I believe we've answered the question of whatever happened to Robot Jones.
Yep.
He got canceled.
He got canceled. That's it, man.
And if you don't want us to get canceled, you can support us on our Patreon, patreon.com/cartoondd. There we have a $5 tier where you get bonus episodes, extended audio episodes, pins and stickers sent to your house, and access to our Discord channel. If you would like to request a cartoon for us to research, go to our website at cartoondumpsterdive.com. You can request anything. We'll do it within reason. We have a Twitter or X. I don't even know what X handle Cartoon DD is. Twitter.
Yeah.
Whatever. We have a Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Threads, all Cartoon Dumpster Dive. I highly suggest going to the Instagram because that's where all my memes go. I don't really like messing with the other ones. We have an email. If you'd like to send us an email, you can send that to cartoondumpsterdive@gmail.com. And as always, we appreciate a 5-star review on the podcasting platform of your choice, so you'll never have to ask whatever happened to Cartoon Dumpster Dive. Have a great rest of your week.
See ya.
It sounded more like Orson Welles. Am I to believe that this robot could go to a high school or middle school? I think not.
I think not.
This Mechano Man of Mystery.
This has been a Lugho podcast.